Stars restaurant in Philadelphia, Parc. And so having done that, what kind of restraints did you have working on that? Given the fact that Stephen Starr is obviously known for doing really design-centric restaurants and a French theme already existed, what kind of restraints did you have?
Restraints?
As far as developing the brand,
I mean, none. We had like to follow, the period. So, but it was like very open to any suggestions and like and the so there was not one specific
Constraint.
constraint.
Yeah. I mean, we started the project like 2 or 3 months before the opening because they hired another design firm to do it, which actually was French.
Okay.
And they weren't particularly happy about it for some reason. Actually, I don't even remember their designs. But I mean, being the fact that they're French probably sucked.
Right.
They have nothing against
the
French.
French?
Of course
No.
not.
No.
It's against French design in general. But Sean Hausman, who's the interior designer, had already created, being close to the opening, already created a big part of the narrative, the imagery. I mean, he came with a lot of materials, a lot of his research on the restaurant, and therefore we had boundaries that were set.
Yeah.
But I mean, those boundaries can be set very easily by saying it's a French brasserie.
Right.
Okay, that kind of tells you where you have to go with the design and where you're not supposed to go.
Right.
So you're not supposed to use Helvetica, probably. I mean, probably you can, but I don't know if you'll succeed in making it look like a real French brasserie.
Right. Not very authentic then.
No, maybe not.
So, okay. Well, the one thing I was going to ask was, when I was looking at some of the materials that you guys worked on, it does, it captures that sort of authentic French 19th century feel. But I also noticed that there's these little details, like there's like the silhouettes of these animals, like a squirrel, serving cocktails or whatever. How did that come about? Was that something that you guys kind of threw in there? That type of humor?
I love to play with silhouettes, and I have done some books using imagery created by using silhouettes. So I had like a lot of this material with me, and then when we designing the piece, we were always trying to create something, to get something, some kind of imagery that relate with the type. And so if the restaurant's called Parc, is right in front of Rittenhouse Square. So why then you make, instead of just get some old image, just we created the idea of having the people who serve in the bar become the people, the animals who live in the park, the pigeon is the waiter, the bartender is the squirrel, the busboy is the bird, generic bird, and the maître d' is the dog. So it's it was a way of in each one you would have a different. They appeared in different on the menu, on the matchbox, on the coaster. So it would be always a different, something different for you to find, and some kind of humor. I mean, I think I love to play with humor because it's that brings the audience, and then when you can make them feel intelligent and same time it's a way of conquer them.
Right, and then why should eating have to be such a serious affair?
Exactly.
Anyway,
I mean, it is
sometimes when you're working with the theme, I'm imagining there might be this sort of fine line between capturing something that's authentic versus going too far, and it's almost sort of Disney-ish in a way.
Yeah, that's the most difficult part. I think you have to do it. You shouldn't be cynical.
Yeah.
If you start being cynical, you're gonna go towards the Disney part.
Yeah.
When the first job similar to this that was Balthazar that I did probably 10 years ago,
Yeah.
It's a restaurant in Manhattan. It's a French brasserie in Manhattan. And there we were extremely serious about any detail. Probably we wouldn't have done the critters serving food there because we were really thinking about doing a real French brasserie where every sign was exactly like if somebody printed it or painted it on the wall or built it at that period. I mean, it was really, I mean, actually there's a part of Balthazar in the bakery where they went to France, they took a ceiling out of a bakery and they brought it here, okay?
Wow.
So, and then there are new chairs that have been scraped to look like old. And I mean, they did this with interior design, and for the graphics, I was really into studying old Victorian type, old typography, and I was so into it that, of course, I made my typical mistake of being distracted, and I used instead for the text of the menus, I used Americana, which is a typeface that I was convinced 200% that was designed in the 18th century. Instead, it's from 1968.
Wow.
Though
it looks like.
Right.
So
it's nice
where
because
it's
very wide.
Yes. Where is the fine line from authentic? I mean, it's of course fake. I mean, one restaurant in Philadelphia, the other one is in New York. I mean, it's a French brasserie, but how can it be a French brasserie? It's a New York brasserie or a Philadelphian brasserie, an American brasserie because they're here. So there's working with this fine line is trying to create an experience that makes you feel like you're there, but you know that you're living a lie.
Yeah. What was in coming up with some of the typefaces? Were some of the ones were they sort of modified or developed from scratch?
Some of them are original. I mean, some of them are. I mean, actually, nothing is original because everything was like done on the computer. I mean, so the digital versions. Some of them examples, straight examples of like a Victorian typeface. Some of them are not. I mean, actually, if you go to the right on the entrance, on the side panels, they have on the top, they have one is a typeface called Misericordia that is a revival of a Victorian typeface, but it is actually, if you look at the typeface itself, it's very, very modern. It's like, but the serif is like, this little bulbs, and like, the ends in like, in little bulbs, and it's quite beautiful. And it was great, like, that we could use something that is modern in, something that like it is.
Yeah, but the good thing is, I mean, I think the fine line again here is to using contemporary typefaces and make sure that even a graphic designer doesn't realize that they're modern,
Right.
They still feel belonging to
the time period.
The time, and when we say time, it's a time. I mean, it's not a particular year.
Yeah.
Especially because we are trying to create, a history for this place. Like if that place has been there for 100 years, so different owners probably changed the style of the menu, so they were all modified in little details, and probably they started, I don't know, with a certain design style, and after a few years the design style en vogue was different, so that it influenced the